In my last video, I gave my first impressions of the buffs to the aspect of harmony and all that talent tree, the Master of Harmony talent tree. And to be honest, I was very excited about the buffs because it was kind of making us more of a two-hero talent tree spec. But I wasn't super hopeful about it breaking into the meta and into the top end of gaming and parses and keys. However, I've been pleasantly surprised. In my own play, it's felt like a playstyle that I am more used to, a build very similar to this one, where it's just our normal build. You're just slotting in Master of Harmony and just doing more damage, but sacrificing Celestial Conduit as a healing cooldown and healing throughput. And in today's video, I do want to kind of talk about some of the changes and how it's affecting the leaderboard so far. At least it's still very fresh, but like I said, I have been very pleasantly surprised to see some of Master of Harmony make a showing in some of the leaderboards. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot wrong with Mistweaver. I would love to see a lot more changes. However, these buffs are welcome. They're good, because once again, we were a one hero talent tree spec, and now we are a two hero talent tree spec. And these buffs, the reason why I put a quotation mark around buffs is because they did this thing that they keep doing where they'll buff something that's not being played to make it more competitive. However, in the top end, we're not really gaining anything theoretically. For example, like our healing throughput potential has not gone up at all since these buffs happened. So yes, we did get a buff, but the theoretical maximum hasn't been increased at all. But let's go and talk about Aspect of Harmony. So I've done some keys with it, and I've been very impressed. Now, it only does damage, and let's go ahead and look at some dungeon logs. These are some of the top logs in a random dungeon. Let's see which dungeon it was. Arakara, so probably the easiest dungeon or one of. Now, I was not fully expecting to see many Aspect of Harmony keys done at the top level, like the 13s, 14s even. Wow, a 14's done. I wasn't expecting to see much Master of Harmony there, but I've been actually surprised across the board. We're seeing some Master of Harmony pop up in 13s. And the reason why I was not expecting to see this is because Master of Harmony really only gives offensive utility. It doesn't have quite the defensive capabilities that Conduit of the Celestials has. Conduit of the Celestials, it gives you a healing cooldown, albeit it's not like the strongest healing cooldown. It's not going to break the bank. It's not like Chi-Ji number 2. It is very powerful, and it can act as like a self healing spell, kind of like Expel Harm 2.0, that also does some AoE healing, because when you pop it, it pops up your own health bar by a certain percentage. So, I mean, it has like a lot of utility, and outside of that, you're going to be applying shields every now and then to kind of just pad health bars a lot, like how shamans do, just not to the effect. So yeah, I expected to see this defensive healer playstyle be played at the top end. However, in past seasons, we have seen metas shift where the healing can be done. You can kind of like drop down in optimization and how much throughput you're doing or how much defensive utility you have as the healer in favor of doing more damage. One really easy meta to bring up, I'm sorry, there's a balanced druid just spamming Starfire behind me. But one really easy meta to bring up is Vesper Totem Shaman. Back in the day, Vesper Totem Shaman was disgusting because it just did so much damage that it was kind of like a shoe-in for the meta healer spec, because it just made keys speed up and go really fast. And when your healer is nuking packs alongside your DPS, it just makes the dungeon easier. Yes, they were technically, I believe, doing less healing than if they would have taken like another like Chain Harvest or something. When packs die a lot quicker, then there can be an argument to be made. It's kind of like a slider system. It's like, do we need to do damage? No. But if we can do so much damage that the healing requirement is lessened, then it becomes worth it to opt for more damage. Now, look, don't get me wrong. You're not completely breaking the game in terms of how much damage you're doing. Let me turn it into damage here, not speed. You're doing a lot more damage with Master of Harmony, but it's not like DPS levels of damage. It's more of like a some tanks level of damage, or maybe even like higher than like some of the other healers terms of DPS. But if you just compare like the conduit, the Celestials highest DPSs, it's about 200,000 is where you see it kind of land. Like here, this person did 270,000. That's a lot. That is comparatively a lot to what I've seen from other logs and stuff. But about 150 to 200,000 is where you'll see most of them land with Conduit the Celestials. I guess 250,000. Now that I'm looking, there are so many more that are going above 200,000. But the point is, when you look and you find outliers like this one, 341 DPS, 100,000 DPS, that is a lot more than some of these other ones, like almost double some, like even the top log. And then you look, okay, they're playing Master of Harmony. And then you scroll down, let's find like another outlier. I'm not even looking to the right, but 445,000 DPS, Master of Harmony. Now you do see some people, like this person, 78,000 with Master of Harmony. That's an outlier. That's an anomaly, I would say. But yeah, you do see so much more damage coming from Master of Harmony, and you're starting to see it pop up more on leaderboards. And don't get me wrong, as a healer, our number one goal is to heal the dungeon, keep everyone safe, try not to allow anyone to die. That's our number one goal. And if we have to sacrifice any of our healing utility, if it puts that goal at risk, we should not do it. However, what we're finding is the rest of our kit is pretty well rounded enough to deal with this current dungeon pool, or at least some of the dungeons, to where we can go Master of Harmony, and it will not risk that. It will not risk people dying just because we swapped off of Celestial Conduit or Conduit of Celestials. However, a lot of people are just like, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Stick with Conduit of Celestials, and they're seeing equal, if not more, success with it. So it's a very interesting world that we live in, and this is exactly what we as players, I believe, should want. I think there should be two similarly viable, I'm not saying equally viable, but similarly viable strategies or builds. And we as the players should be able to decide, make a pros and cons list. I want to do more damage, but I don't want to risk my team dying, or I want to have like another cooldown, like that kind of thing. We should have the decision. So this is in a great spot in that aspect, no pun intended. However, I mean, obviously you can see here, we are not doing like broken levels of DPS in Mythic Plus with the aspect build. And you can tell there's a very high skill ceiling, and I'm sure there are like damage trinkets involved here, which I guess not even, but you can tell that there are like high skill ceilings in getting this amount of throughput. So that is also another thing that kind of makes me enjoy this change. I like that it is more viable. I like that we now have more of a decision, and I like that there is risk involved. You are risking going into a dungeon with Aspect of Harmony just because you're going to have 100% health instead of 103% health, with your shields that you're applying and your leftover cooldown that you're missing. So there's risk, there's reward and damage, and it's very unique damage. Now let me talk about the damage profile a bit. So far from what I can gather, well, I guess I should have this pulled up. The changes to Coalescence have been really good. I do see why they kind of nerfed it down to keep it from getting out of hand, because it does seem very good. You can spread around the damage and you can amplify the damage pretty nicely. And the buff to yourself, your other damage, is very nice. So I have full vitality. Let me just show you why I think this is more favorable than people like myself even thought it would be when it was first announced. And it comes down to, this is very good priority damage with potential to cleave onto more targets. So if I pop, let me just have J-Fire Stomp down, and if I pop Thunder Focus Tea, we are going to activate the damage from Aspect Harmony. So I'm just going to Thunder Focus Tea, Rising Sun Kick, and you will see that we are applying a buff, or a bit of damage that's going to be amplifying. The more that we hit this dummy, it's going to amplify, and our damage is increased onto this target. So now that tick has gone up to 250,000, and I believe there it's kind of going to chill until it does its damage. So there we did our normal damage, our normal rotation. We were cleaving blackout kicks, we were rising sun kicking that main dummy. We did get some extra bonus damage from the hero talent tree from Overwhelming Force. But the main outlier, the thing that stands out most, is the Aspect of Harmony dot, and it does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage, and that's you're primarily going to get most of this damage onto one target in most cases, or even on like bosses you can see good return from it. But think about like any given pool. Just pick a random dungeon and place yourself in a random pool of a dungeon. Now, that pool, every pool has at least one priority target that you should focus, whether that's a caster that just has a deadly cast and you want to burn them down before they can get one more cast off, or it's, a big cyclops that has more health and can enrage and smack your tank, so you just want to burn him down a bit quicker, or it's a mini boss surrounded by little mini ads that are around him and you want to focus that mini boss. Like, priority damage exists and there is a demand for priority damage. That's why you see certain DPS specs opt for builds that can do good funnel damage or good priority damage. Now us Mistweavers have a lot better funnel damage, a lot better priority damage, but once again, you are at the risk or you have the opportunity cost of dropping Celestial Conduit. Now let's talk about what Celestial Conduit does and why it's very good and why some people are still opting to take it. And it comes down to it kind of does everything that Master of Harmony does, but in reverse. Master of Harmony, you basically become more of a glass cannon. Glass cannon's probably not the best term because you're not just like super fragile, you don't lack healing cooldowns, you still are the same old Mistweaver that we all fell in love with Chi-Ji, Revival, Life Cocoon, even if it's kind of sus. Like, you still have all of your tools, Shayloons, you're going to still be doing good Ancient Teachings healing. However, you just only really gain offensive damage from this hero talent tree, whereas Celestial Conduit gains kind of the opposite. You gain shielding, you gain a big healing cooldown. I've kind of already talked about this in the video, so I don't need to go over it. However, you don't not gain damage. Like, you gain August Dynasty, which can help your single target damage, but it can also help your healing if you really need it in a pinch. I mean, Conduit or Celestial Conduit does good damage in itself, and you're gaining some damage from Zwen coming out to help you, but this damage will not stack up compared to Master of Harmony or Aspect of Harmony in Mythic Plus. But let's take a look at Raid, because I've spent all this time talking about how Master of Harmony kind of only excels when you need damage. It doesn't really give you the HPS or the healing that Celestial Conduit can do. So then that should tell us players, like, okay, so then if I swap over to the Mistweaver raid logs, we should expect to see probably 0 Master of Harmony builds in the top logs. But it's kind of surprising. Yes, you see the majority dominance of Celestial Conduit because it's really good. I mean, it adds good healing. It plays very well. You can shave time off your Thunder Focus Teas, cycle that better, which works very well with a Jade Bond build. Like, and also Pool of Mist, if you're running Pool of Mist, like, you can kind of dunk on things with the whole Yulon shaving time off of Rising Sun Kick and Renewing Mist. Like, it's a very synergistic hero talent tree that provides bonus throughput. And we do need it, let's be real. However, I mean, you're still seeing some Master of Harmony played, which is what surprised me. Don't get me wrong, this person was playing what looks like a pretty meme build on this raid fight. But I mean, you can look at some of the top logs, and for the most part, it will look like this. Most are going to be Celestial Conduit. However, you'll be shocked. There are some Master of Harmony. The only difference is that they swapped to Purified Spirit, because if you don't take Purified Spirit, in most cases, you're going to lose most of your vitality or all of your Aspect of Harmony healing. It'll just go into damage because of Harmonic Gambit. However, if you don't take Harmonic Gambit and you opt for Purified Spirit, you're going to be kind of guaranteed that it's all going to go into healing at the end of that Aspect of Harmony window. So this is kind of what we did expect, or what just all of us WoW players, not even just us Mistweavers, this is what we expected from hero talent trees. Both are going to be viable-ish in both forms of content to at least a certain extent. Maybe like you'll see some in the top 100 page of like parses and logs and stuff. Maybe that's what we expected. However, they would ideally kind of both have their niches. Like if you're playing Windwalker, for example, you would ideally have one that kind of gives you a bit more AoE damage while also giving you single target, but primarily AoE damage. And then your other hero talent tree might give you single target damage while also kind of giving you some AoE. So like that's kind of what we expected, and we're kind of landing in that territory where Celestial Conduit is the healing one you take into raid, and then you have an option in Mythic Plus. Now, I don't want this video to turn anyone's heads. I think there's two arguments that I can already see happening in the comments, or reasons why people are mad at me for making this video. Number one, I'm not saying that they're equally viable. I'm saying that I'm surprised at how people are testing it, which I expected them to, and how those tests are successful. So I'm surprised just to see how much of it is landing up here, and I'm happy to see it happen this way, and I hope to see more in the future, but I'm not saying that it's guaranteed. I don't think that they are on equal playing fields. They kind of just both excel at different things, and it kind of just depends on what the dungeon, what the party, what the whole atmosphere needs or demands from the healer on which one you should go in each given moment. And then number two, the other thing that I could see you guys probably getting upset at me about is, oh God, here we go again. Healers need to do damage. I hate how they keep making Mythic Plus where healers need to focus damage. I don't think that's the thing. I think one of the problems with this is that you're seeing, oh, you're doing more overall damage than, oh gosh, us healers are going to have to do that. I don't want you to look at it like that. I don't think that you as a player, if you're someone who doesn't care to do healer damage, I don't want you to be upset now that we have a way to do that. Instead, look at it as a way like, oh, we have a way to help burn down a priority target more while also doing more damage. Do I want to swap to that? If not, don't. Like you see there are people who are equally, if not more successful staying with Celestial Conduit. And for you guys, it kind of is the same game. You're playing the same Mistweaver, and that's fine. It's a fun time. Play the same build. You'll have a good time. Now, I really quickly want to end this video and kind of say, Mistweaver's not finished. I try to keep this like rhetoric or this tone in my videos where I am happy. I am generally happy with where Mistweaver is because I play it and I have fun. In fact, I'm trying to make a living out of doing it. I have fun playing this spec, and I love some of the recent changes that they have done, including this one. However, I think there is this thing that Blizzard and the devs have been doing lately that is kind of getting frustrating as a player of a spec like Mistweaver, where when something is good about the spec to the point of maybe it's overpowered, that's fine. They really nerf it to where it's no longer good, it feels like, and then they'll buff stuff that isn't good to fill that gap. And in the end, all us Mistweavers do is like, oh yeah, we're getting buffed, but are we really? We kind of like lose the top end of our healing potential. And although they have done some very nice changes across the board to Mistweaver to give us more options in raid, I mean, like we have different builds that are competing. I think here you'll see two completely different functioning builds at the top and as the top two builds. And that's cool. That's a great thing. However, I kind of wish that the next round of buffs that Mistweaver receives, instead of being something that we're not playing, to kind of give us, give it viability. Like, what's a talent that we don't play? Like, imagine they buff Overflowing Mist in PvE, right? What if they say it just happens whenever someone takes any damage? Like, okay, that's great. That would probably be broken, let's be real. But say they just buff this to where it's competitive and you can take it, but you won't really gain HPS. You just won't lose HPS for taking this. That's great and all, but we need something to push us up in the right direction, whether that's like another mastery buff, or just something that'll just push us up and make us do more healing overall, raise our healing ceiling. It sounds weird to say, but raise our ceiling so that we can outperform. A good Mistweaver monk can outperform a good Preservation Evoker, bring us back in line, and that would make me happy. But these Master of Harmony changes are pretty nice, and I think that's what this video is about, so I guess I'll stop with that rant. I mean, even if they just like raise the cap, if you take Purified Spirit, it gains a little line that says, oh, and also the Vitality cap is doubled. That'd be pretty cool. That'd do more healing, something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm very happy with Aspect of Harmony changes. But I kind of went off on a little tangent there at the end. Hopefully that didn't upset you guys. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to go stream now. It's Uh-oh, I am late to my stream. So I'll see you guys hopefully over there. But if not, make sure that you guys are subscribed on this YouTube channel so that you can see when I go live or when I post a video. Click that bell notification. I just started doing that with people that I subscribe, and oh my goodness, my life is so much better. It lets me know as soon as they post a video. Like this video if you agree with anything, and let me know your opinions down below. I am very interested to hear what you think about these aspect changes, if you're having fun testing with them, if you're surprised that they're performing as well as they are, or if you are kind of still upset with where Mistweaver is, like the current state. I am very excited to have that conversation with you down in the comments, but make sure and like your video on the way out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.